Hello and welcome to the Penelope Possum channel with me, your host, Penelope the Possum. Today is Spooky Scary Saturday, everyone's favorite day of the week, apparently. So, howdy! I've got some videos ready for us to watch. I've only got 3 because I have to wake up early tomorrow to do stuff. Hi, Retro! Pants? Pants are overrated. We don't wear pants here. We wear funky little short or skirt. So, we're gonna get started with some IMR scary tales. Pants are for girly man. You wear a kilt. I think a kilt can be considered a flavor of... God damn it. Sorry, Explodo Jones just sent me a funny meme over my phone. Anyways, let's get started with 3 true TikTok horror stories animated.
When you get bored, it's easy to want something or anything to happen, just so life can be a little more exciting. I made that wish once, and it came true, but now I'd rather wish I hadn't. I would much prefer a whole day spent doing nothing over what happened in 2020.
Oh boy, 2020.
Randonautica app, which...
Okay, pausing already. But I've heard of this app, and I've heard some people got kidnapped using it. You can still get it. It's supposed to find areas near where you are that are high or low in energies, so you can summon ghosts or something. I don't really know what the point was. I thought I might have wanted to try it, but then I started reading about kidnappings and stabbings and just having an app that sends you to a random location is a little sus. You've been cooking for 2 days straight, I am aware. It was very sketchy. It is very sketchy. But yeah, that's my knowledge on this subject. It might not even have been a thing that was happening.
Which generates random coordinates in a set area. The whole point is to go there and find out what happens. We set the app to pick locations anywhere in the city of Seattle, but the first pin it put down wasn't far away at all. In fact, as soon as we saw it on the map, we all knew where it was. It was the Alki Beach Pier, which since we lived in the neighborhood right off that beach, we'd all been to it plenty of times. It was close by, and it had always been fun in the past, so we agreed with the app and drove to go check it out. All we were doing was hanging out and getting up to stuff, and we had all day, so we could start with something chill like the pier. It was better than sitting at home, or so we thought. At first glance, everything seemed normal for Alki Beach at the time, although a lot less people were out than usual, but that made it even nicer, honestly. It almost felt like we were the only people there, like everybody was completely turning their backs on this beautiful day and we were the only ones outside appreciating it. But then, not long after we got there, I saw something in the rocks beneath the pier. I pointed out to everyone immediately, not realizing that it was anything more than litter at the time.
Hey guys, look! A suitcase. What?
Wow.
Look! See? What the heck? Who would leave that here? It probably washed up. I mean, who takes their luggage to the beach? Well,
someone who has
throws
something
their
to
luggage
hide.
overboard off a ferry. It's probably some hobo's house. Oh my god, be respectful. I was just kidding. Obviously, a person couldn't fit inside of that. It's way too small.
Oh really? I don't know. There could be anything in there.
I
Could be a bunch of mafia
mean,
money,
people
or,
have
like,
fit
kilos
into
or
smaller
bricks or something.
spaces.
Kilos? Bricks? What are you talking about?
I'm just saying there could be anything in there. Like, what if it's full of diamonds?
Psh, I wouldn't have diamonds in it. That's ridiculous.
We'll never know
You
unless we go
wouldn't.
down there and open it.
Well, I'm not opening it.
Oh yeah? 1, 2, 3, not it!
Not it, not it. Oh, come on. Fine.
Come on, do it for TikTok.
Yeah, do it for TikTok.
Even then,
Don't do
there
it
was
for the
something telling me
vine.
I shouldn't do it. But with the camera pointed at my face and all my friends looking at me, I felt like I had to. Two of them
Do it
climbed
for the
up on
memes. Do it for the
wolf man
vine.
and his
Do it
little
for the
girlfriend must have also
gram.
been feeling adventurous that day. The bay almost always has a kind of stink to it. The watery scent of oil and algae and bird poop. As someone who
We're
grew
not
up
gonna
smelling
check
it,
that one out
I've grown
today.
to enjoy it, honestly.
Maybe some other
There
time.
was something else in the air that day.
Oh,
Something
there's a
nasty
body
and
in there,
rotten
ain't
that I was
it?
smelling the second I started climbing down.
Come on, hurry up. Give me a second. I don't want to slip.
The tide had just gone out, so all the rocks were freshly wet and slick, and the suitcase was lodged in the rocks pretty far out there, almost to the end of the pier. I made it eventually.
I am 100% certain there is a. Oh
When we
my
got
god,
close to
her
it,
tits are
I
huge.
knew it was the source of that putrid
But
smell
like,
that hit me
I'm
earlier.
certain there is a
Still,
body in
The
there.
video was waiting for me to make it. All my friends were egging.
You're laughing, but I'm not wrong. Like, looking up from that angle, they looked enormous.
Me on to open it. I reached over and pulled the zipper open just a few inches. And then I was immediately smacked in the face by the worst thing I've ever smelled. I gagged immediately and almost fell into the crevices of the rocks.
Oh, God. It smells so bad.
Yeah, open
There's
it
a
some
body
more.
in there.
Just grab a stick or something.
Not wanting to touch it directly with my hands, I looked around and luckily found a nice piece of driftwood to poke it with.
Driftwood.
Using that, I managed to open the zipper a bit more and started to turn a flap over.
It's just a plastic bag. What do you mean?
Full of body
That's it?
parts.
Yeah, like a garbage bag.
All of a sudden, the wind shifted and I became completely overpowered by the foul odor emanating from that thing. I couldn't stand it any longer. I threw the stick away and backed down.
I can't. Well, I can't even stomach it. Fine. I'll open it, you wimp.
I was glad I was off the hook. I didn't care if they made fun of me for it later. I didn't say it then, but I also felt something disgusting inside the bag. But since I just poked it with a stick, I had no idea what it was. My friend took my place. and
This is
pulled the flap
gonna
up
be a
beside me.
crime scene.
Now it was clear that there was something inside the garbage bag, and together they'd been stuffed into the suitcase. But we still didn't know what. She found another stick and slowly reached over to poke it. I watched her do it, and right as she did, her face turned white as a sheet. She dropped everything. Her mean girl attitude was gone, and now she was just as mortified as me. What is it?
It's... And just don't touch it. We shouldn't have messed with it, and we should stop before we get involved in something bad. I'm calling the police.
Ooh, drama.
Turn off the camera already!
The odds of a story like this happening may seem astronomical, but it is true. In June of 2020, several teenagers from Seattle, Washington were passing the time using the Randonautica app, which produces random coordinates for the users to travel to at their own risk.
I knew it.
These unsuspecting users were led to a familiar beach in their hometown, only to make a grim discovery: human remains.
I
Just a
knew
few days
it.
prior, a man named Michael Lee Dudley had evicted the two previous tenants of a spare bedroom, ending their lives in a fit of rage and going through great lengths to cover it up. The remains of the victims were dismembered and packed into garbage bags, then concealed in suitcases, then thrown into the bay not far from their old home. But it just so happened that they would end up being discovered in the most unlikely of ways. If they hadn't been, it's possible that this crime would have gone unsolved. However,
Yuck.
unfortunately for the privacy of the victims' families, those who discovered the first suitcase were somehow compelled to post videos of it to TikTok, thus launching the case into viral fame.
Yep. Things like that kept
I was coming
happening.
down the stairs after tucking my traumatized daughter into bed. The apartment looked much better now. It was a mess when I got here from the grocery store. The furniture was scattered. Everything on the dining table was lying on the floor broken. I knew something was wrong when I found my door unlocked. I had to lie to my 5-year-old daughter that it was all an earthquake. What else could I have told her?
Oh,
That it was
boy.
her own father? My husband Alan and I were pleased at the beginning. He created this TikTok channel where we shared our lives with thousands of people. Alan
guy
had
has a
massive
mega
knack for
butt
acting and
chin.
often impersonated Al Pacino from Scarface. I always wondered why he loved that movie so much. Because it was violent, or because it was about a man who wanted to write his own fate?
You wanna mess with me? Okay. You wanna play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend!
His fans loved him. We even uploaded funny videos of us together. Our fans admired us, saying we were the perfect couple. But suddenly, it all changed. Alan became unreasonably suspicious. His crazy fits began with jealousy. Any guy who would casually talk to me will become a threat to Alan. I tried to make him feel secure, but his madness grew daily. There came a point when he started getting drunk and shouting at me. He would curse and spit on me in anger.
Ew.
Soon, the verbal abuses turned to punches, slaps, even kicks to the stomach. So one day, I left the house, taking my daughter with me. I took the help of the law and got a restraining order against Alan. He laid low for a few days, and then...
Open the door, Hannah! Julia's my daughter, too! You can't keep me away for long!
Go away from our lives! You've tortured me enough! What's wrong with Daddy? Nothing, darling. He's just not feeling fine lately.
Open the damn door!
I could barely
What is
sleep
wrong
that night.
with this
I kept having these
dude?
horrible dreams of Alan holding a...
Why is this guy like this? He seemed completely normal before. Did he get did he get lost in the sauce?
bloody knife on my bed. I woke up screaming many nights in my bed, praying to God to put an end to all of this.
Also, shout
The
out.
other day, I was talking to the neighbor's son on my way home.
I'm just wondering
I had this feeling
why.
that someone was following me, but every time I looked back, I didn't see anyone. When I was about to get inside the building, I heard a coarse voice.
Who is that guy, Hannah?
Yes, it was Alan. Again. I looked at him with anger
he looked-
and yelled.
Were
Is that
you following me?
You didn't answer my question, Hannah. Who was that guy?
I should have reported you to the cops right then. You should be in an asylum.
I turned to leave when Alan grasped my ponytail and pulled me closer to him.
what is this guy's
Stop it.
deal?
You're hurting me.
I get it, Hannah.
Like, alright, first off, he is not rocking that. I can't remember the actor's name, but you know the actor. That one actor who was in, like, Monkey Bone or whatever. He has that haircut, and he's not looking good. His teeth have gone completely yellow and crooked. It looks like he has a bad case of acne. Brendan Fraser, thank you. Gosh. Yeah, he has like a Brendan Fraser haircut now. His veins are all popping out. This was a bad still to pause on. He does look sick. Sick as in cough, cough, sniffle, sniffle, sick, not sick as in sick, brah.
You're just mad because I didn't kiss you every day, right? I didn't show enough love. But I'm changed now. I want you back, Hannah. Please, let's just go home, okay? Everything will be...
Let me go, you freak!
I poked him in the eye with my apartment keys and he let go of me.
Ah!
Don't you dare come near me or my daughter again. There's no way I'm raising her under the same roof as a psychopath like you.
I ran into the building and closed the door immediately. As I stormed upstairs, ignoring the elevator, I heard Alan scream from the sidewalk.
I love you, Hannah! You're just mad! You could never leave me! We're the perfect couple! Everyone says that in our TikTok videos!
After that incident, I went to the cops, who gave him a final warning.
Jesus
Maybe that's why he
Christ.
charged into my apartment in my absence and vandalized my home. I heard a knock on the door when I was thinking about what to do next.
Who is it?
It's me, Roger. Open the door, Hannah. I opened the door and Roger was standing on the other side. He looked concerned. I couldn't hold my tears anymore.
Oh, Roger.
Was he here again?
Yes.
You need to change the lock, Hannah. Roger got me inside and we sat down on the couch. Roger is the only friend who's well aware of my situation. Where's Julia?
In her room, asleep.
I told you repeatedly to file a case against him, but you didn't. He could have been behind bars now, and you all will be safe.
I'm so tired, Roger.
Well, to me, you look beautiful as always. His sudden attempt to make me smile worked, though.
Stop it. I know you're a good friend, but you suck at lying.
We shared a laugh, and my heart became a little less heavy. Roger kept talking about going to trip with friends. I, too, could use a little escape. We were discussing all of that when suddenly I heard the main door click open. Roger and I quickly shifted our gaze to the other, and Alan... Finally!
What? Oh, right.
Hannah. You left me for this guy? Alan, you need to leave, man!
Go away before I call the cops!
But Alan let out a creepy smile, and I saw him taking out something from his jacket. Fear increased my heartbeat, and...
Oh my god.
Alan! What are you doing? No! Alan, please! Please, stop! Think about Julia. She will never forgive you. Please! Don't do this!
The story you just saw based on the horrifying murder of Anna Abulabon and Rayburn Barron.
Oh my god.
The man responsible for their death was none other than TikTok personality Ali Abulabon, known as @JinKid. Ali was arrested for the double murder of his wife Anna and her male companion Barron in their San Diego apartment at 3:10 p.m. October 21st. According to preliminary hearing testimony, the fallout of the Abulabons' marriage was precipitated by incidents of domestic violence and indications that Abulabon had been cheating on his wife with other women. After alleged marital troubles, Anna took the decision of ending their marriage and asked Ali to leave their home. Though it was agreed that Abulabon would move out of their apartment, prosecutors allege he secretly made a copy of the apartment key. Ali later told investigators that while his wife was away on the morning of October 21st, he used the copy key
really
to enter
should
the
have
apartment,
gotten
vandalized
it.
the unit, then installed an app on his daughter's iPad that allowed him to monitor live audio inside the apartment. While listening to the app later that day, he overheard his wife and a man giggling. Ali then went to the apartment with a loaded gun and shot Barron 3 times, in the neck, cheek, and back of the head at close range, and also fired 1 bullet into his wife's forehead. Abulabon was stopped on the highway an hour later after he picked up his daughter from school and was arrested for the murders. During his trial, Ali Abulabon snapped out and his inner demons showed him as the deranged psychopath that he was.
And that led to another outburst.
You think I wanted that? I wanted it!
Mr. Boulevard, I need you to stop.
My life is destroyed!
Mr. Boulevard, I need you to stop.
There has to be something that actually, like, set him off, right? Like, there has to have been some undiagnosed mental illness that was long stewing in his head long before this. Like, he looked completely fine at first, and then he just went off the deep end. It's scary to know that sometimes the people in your life who look completely normal and fine and have functional relationships and stuff can just sort of off into crazy town.
Back when TikTok was just becoming a thing, I downloaded it and started following some of the dance trends.
Shout outs to IMR Scary Tales for this trio of stories. None of the videos in this reaction are mine. Credits to the video makers.
My account was pretty small, as I was only followed by people I went to school with and only followed them back, plus a few celebrities. After a few days,
I mean,
I
that's
only
pretty
had
normal.
about 50 likes on my most popular video. I wasn't torn up about it though, as I really didn't try very hard. So, understandably, I was surprised when somebody duetted that video. At first, I was worried they would be making fun of me, but I was surprised to see this fat bald guy with huge ears that looked like he was almost 50 years old just watching me dance, nodding with approval and talking about how good of a dancer I was. His
Oh
name was
no.
Buddy, or something like that.
Buddy.
Y'all seeing this? I don't get this. You know why I don't get it? Because when I was this girl's age, ain't nobody could dance like that. Nowadays, y'all kids just be dancing your hearts like nobody's business. But I ain't hating on that. I like it. I like it a lot.
I was creeped out.
He's very
obviously.
creepy.
I decided to DM him to ask him why he was looking at my videos. I expected him to keep being creepy, but actually, he was really nice and seemed to clear things up.
Hey, what did you duet my video for? How did you even find it?
Oh, I'm totally addicted to this app now. It showed up on my For You page after like 6 straight hours of scrolling. It's that algorithm, I guess. Hope that's okay.
Oh,
That would mean he's watching other videos of young girls dancing and such. This is why you keep things like that show your face on private.
okay. Yeah, that's alright. Don't forget to touch some grass. LOL. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got like 7 red flags already, and we're not even a few seconds into the story.
He said he was totally addicted to TikTok and had been scrolling through it all day, which made it make a little more sense that my almost completely unseen video would randomly pop up for him. After I tested him out a bit, I left him on red, figuring the conversation wouldn't go anywhere else. A few hours later, I went to bed, having pretty much forgotten about it. However, before I could get to sleep, I heard my phone buzz. I was going to ignore it, but then it buzzed 4 more times. I worried my friends were trying to reach me with something important, so I rolled
She
over
looks
and
like a
checked my
Disney
phone.
character. Has
My
anybody
stomach
else
churned when
noticed
I saw
that?
more DMs from that buddy from earlier. Hey, do you remember when we met? It was today. LOL. Can we talk? I don't know if you're asleep, but I'm really lonely right now if you wouldn't mind keeping me company. Unlike before, when he was acting normal, he was starting to show his true colors, his creepy colors. He asked me to talk to him and keep
Long
him
cat
company.
hair.
Me, a teenage girl, keep him, a 40-year-old man, company? In the middle of the night? What business did he have asking me to do that? None. But it got worse when I read the messages and didn't respond to them. I immediately texted one of my friends about it because I didn't know what else to do. Don't ignore me. I just want to talk. Okay, maybe I want to do more than that. JK.
Oh,
I
gross.
really just need a friend, though. Nobody wants to talk to me because I'm ugly. You're really pretty, though. Really pretty. But Buddy kept texting me and throwing himself a pity party, talking about how pretty I was and being really suggestive
Oh
about
gosh,
being friends.
this is
Or
getting
more than
beyond
friends.
red
I told
flags.
him he needed to stop because I was only 15 years old. But then he made it clear that wasn't a problem for him.
You know I'm 15, right?
15? And? He then sent me a selfie of him pouting in bed with no shirt on. That's when I blocked him. I stayed up for several more hours because of that and told my friends all about it. Then we made fun of him until I could find it funny enough to not be sick to my stomach about it. I managed to get to sleep a few hours before sunrise, which meant I didn't get up until the early afternoon. I drug myself out of bed like a zombie and sat down to eat some breakfast in the kitchen. My older brother was also eating cereal, but it was a common occurrence to see him waking up past noon. We were both eating cereal with one hand and looking at our phones with the other. Of course.
Wow,
My day
what a
started on bad
tender
note when I
family
looked.
moment.
I got a notification from every social media app I had except for TikTok that I'd gotten a new follower. Every username had the word Buddy in it, so I knew instantly that I was being stalked by that same weird fat guy. I kicked myself for putting all my socials in my TikTok bio. He was using Instagram to send me more messages. It wasn't just text though. It was almost whole paragraphs about how nobody liked him, how he needed somebody to make him feel better about himself, how much he wanted that person to be me. There were videos too. Videos from the night before of him in bed, still with no shirt on.
Hey,
Yeah.
you. I don't know why you're not talking to me anymore. I was just hoping that you could make me feel better. I'm just one of those uggos, though, and you're one of the pretty people. Well, I hope you know this. I could make you feel good. If you just let me. Come on, girl. Just let me.
I compulsively kept watching it, like a train wreck I couldn't look away from. Soon enough, my older brother noticed the look of disgust on my face.
Very
Hey,
gross.
what are you watching?
It's some guy who won't leave me alone.
Some guy. Do you know him?
No, he's just being weird.
Let me see that.
Suddenly, he stood up
Ooh,
and
big
snatched
brother
my phone out of my
instincts
hand.
activate.
He watched everything Buddy had sent me, then recorded it all from his phone. I could tell by
That's
the look on his
stupid.
face that he was pissed. I was just going to let him do whatever he was going to. Then he asked me for his TikTok, so I gave it to him.
My friend has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna send all this to him so he can expose this creep. It'll make great content.
Wow.
Ooh.
Thanks for taking advantage of the fact that I'm being preyed on.
Don't worry, sis. I won't let anyone actually get to you. You're my little thirst trap. So if you could draw on some more uglies, that would be great.
What? That is a
This
horrible
story
way.
didn't happen to one single underage girl, but dozens. Starting back in 2018, at the beginning of TikTok's boom in popularity, a man named Buddy Haynes, who went by the username The Buddy on TikTok, began posting. But he wasn't just posting. He was taking advantage of the app's algorithm to get in contact with teenage girls. Countless text conversations like the one you saw are available on the numerous exposure videos that have been made against Buddy Haynes. Over the course of several years, Buddy embroiled himself in allegations and controversy over this despicable behavior, repeatedly leaving TikTok only to return and continue with his predatory behavior.
Why don't they
Finally,
just
after
ban
being
him?
caught in an amateur sting, Buddy disappeared from TikTok for good. As far as
Good.
the public knows, no charges have been brought against him. These days,
That's
Buddy claims to have
incredible.
bettered himself as a person by doing therapy and quitting drinking, and swears he no longer does the things he once did when he was not in his right state of mind, as he claims. We can only hope that he is being genuine. What do you think?
I don't think so. Oh man, the 2-hour video that took us like
class runs through
3
the hall.
days to finish. We all remember that one. Oof. Okay, this one's from Dr. Bob, and it's SCP-3182, the grocery store.
Walls of an empty grocery store with nothing but darkness around him. He turns corner after corner, searching for a door, but there are only endless aisles and stretches of blank walls. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run. Behind him, he can hear a soft, wet, gurgling sound. He turns, eyes wide in horror, and something pulls him down into the floor
What?
below,
What?
swallowing his screams. The day is drawing to a close, the sun dipping over the horizon as families across the small town wash up after dinner, placing their dirty dishes in the sink and starting to wind down for the evening. For those
Alright.
rare few with office jobs in this town, the workday stopped at 5 p.m., and now there's nothing but rest ahead of them until the day begins fresh again in the morning.
There's a
But
bug.
for the employees working the
Gross.
graveyard shift at
Oh my god, there is a bug in my room. There is a mosquito in my room. I want it to die so bad.
the local, woefully understaffed grocery store, the day is far from over. There's closing
Yeah,
time
it's
at
trying
10
to eat
p.m.,
my
then
blood.
cleaning,
Help!
locking up for the night, and eventually, mercifully, clocking out. One of the workers, a young woman, watches the clock through heavy eyes, threatening to close. She shouldn't have picked up this extra shift. Working a double was overly ambitious today, and she can feel exhaustion
I
creeping
hate
up on her,
Skeeters as
threatening
well.
to drag her down into an inadvisable on-the-clock slumber.
Oh
It's
boy.
almost 8 o'clock.
Poor girl.
Only
I
a few
feel
more
ya.
hours to go. She can make it. Ordinarily, she'd try to make small talk with her coworkers, but several of them called in sick today. It's just her and one cashier, who's been on break for way longer than the allotted 15 minutes. So really, it's just her. She bit.
I know that feeling. I've had bad coworkers before. Ones who just call out sick for whatever reason they feel fit. And I get called in, and of course, I'm a good little bean. And I go in, and I take double shifts, and it's hell in a handbasket, mate.
Busies herself, shelving jars of peanut butter, watching the seconds tick by. More of the workday gone. More of her so-called summer vacation gone. But every hour worked is more money in the bank, more in the travel fund that will take her out of this town and towards something that might actually make her happy. She just has to save up enough, has to face these monotonous days and the same repeating carousel of faces a little bit longer. Then, it'll all be worth it. She tries not to think about the fact that her older co-workers have said the same thing about themselves, the ones who have worked here for 10 years. They all thought they'd be out of here in a year too, but they aren't. They're still bagging groceries for their neighbors and former classmates, watching the seconds tick by on that grimy old clock. As she reaches down for another jar, someone suddenly speaks just behind her. They ask if they can help her find anything. She spins around, startled, the jar slipping from her grasp and landing on the ground with a crash.
Whoa.
Glass and peanut butter
I'm pretty sure most peanut butter jars are plastic now.
straight across the floor. There's no one there. She must be imagining things, she thinks. But when she turns her back, she hears it again. She spins around, quicker this time, hoping to catch them in the act. There's something so familiar about that voice. Did another coworker come in after all? No, it's not one of her coworkers. Suddenly, as she hears the voice speak again, asking if she wants a paper or plastic bag, her stomach drops. She knows now. The voice is her own. That's
Ooh,
it. She's
creepy.
officially too exhausted to keep working right now. There aren't any customers in the store, so she's going to head to the break room and try and get her head together. As she starts the walk there, she suddenly realizes that she can't find the door. The door to the break room is there, but where's the exit? The door she comes through every single day before clocking in. The doors that she practically sprints toward when her shifts close out. The ones that lead to freedom and home and the chance to remember herself as a person, and not just an endless stretch of meaningless tasks. Somehow, the door is gone.
That's
No,
not
that can't be
normal.
possible. Doors don't just vanish. She's gotten turned around. She's misplaced it. She paces through the store, determined to find the door, but she can't. It truly seems to have vanished. Sweat begins to bead on her forehead. Her hands
Okay, this is starting to seem very odd. What happened and why? It seems like just a second ago this is a completely normal grocery store, and then this is happening. Like, obviously it's an SCP file, but I have a theory, but we'll save that towards the end.
trembling as she retraces her steps over and over again. It isn't an especially big store. She can't be lost. No, it's just her worst nightmare coming true. She can never go home, can never clock out. She's going to be at work for all eternity. Her mouth dries up. She has trouble swallowing, trouble catching her breath as her breathing becomes shallower, tinged with panic. It's an impossible situation, but she just knows that this is it, that she'll never get to go home again. At the same time, she's never wanted anything more in the world than to get out of here as soon as possible. If she doesn't, she could die in here. And she swore to herself that she would never ever die in this town. As she navigates the aisles, she can hear faint whispering, like people huddled together just out of sight, talking about her in tones just too hushed to make out. A few aisles over, she hears a sudden, piercing scream. Is there someone else trapped in here with her? She follows the sound to aisle 3, but when she peers down the aisle, there's no one there. At least, at first, there's no one there, until she looks down at the floor. There, on the yellowing tiles, a pale, translucent hand is poking up from the floor.
That's not
The tile
normal.
around it shimmers and ripples like still water disturbed by a pebble. The hand reaches up, further and further, stretching toward her. It wants her to reach out and grasp it, but the thought turns her stomach. That hand can't belong to anything human. So instead, she turns and runs in the opposite direction, stopping when she can hear the blood rushing in her ears and taste metal on the back of her tongue. As the sound of her pulse fades, her heart slowing, she hears another sound that causes it to spike all over again. A long, slow, dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy across the floor. It thumps, then...
Okay, what the actual heck is happening here? And also, can we just take a minute to appreciate this young woman's hairstyle and that it's actually really cute?
and drags some more. There's a
I
sound
just
with
want
it,
to know
too.
why this
A
is
wet,
happening
strange
and why
sound,
now
like a
to
combination
her.
of water bubbling up from a drain and someone struggling to breathe. Every fiber of her being is screaming at her to run, to get out of there right now, but she can't move her feet. The sound draws closer and closer and closer until everything
Yeah,
suddenly goes
shit went
black.
sideways.
If there
Like,
were anyone passing by the grocery store at the moment, they would hear a scream cut short with a wet gurgle. The next morning, the manager finds her body still lying there in the same
What?
aisle. The store closes a few weeks later, never to open again.
okay, good.
SCP-3182 is a derelict grocery store in the town of Denton, Missouri that hosts a number of anomalous phenomena during the hour between 7:52 and 8:52 p.m. each day.
Okay,
This window
very
of time
specific.
is referred to as a Deimos event. Deimos events first began occurring following the store's closure, which is attributed to a combination of an economic downturn and the tragic death of a 17-year-old part-time worker.
17.
When a Deimos event occurs,
oh,
all
the
outside
poor
sources...
thing. She had her whole life ahead of her. That's just sad.
of visible light are rendered unable to penetrate the store's interior. Individuals inside during the event will insist that all exits and entrances have disappeared, preventing anyone from leaving or entering. It should be noted that video recordings of SCP-3182 during Deimos events show that the doors do not in fact go anywhere, indicating that SCP-3182 impacts the perceptions and mental states of
Die,
those affected
mosquito,
by it,
die!
rather than the environment itself. Some of these aforementioned anomalous effects include a sudden,
There's
overwhelming
some
but
mimetic
inexplicable
effects
sense
here.
of distress or sadness, a sense of severe resentment toward the town of Denton, Missouri, the sudden recollection of memories belonging to former customers of SCP-3182, a sense of approaching danger, and the urge to do something to prevent or escape it, and an extreme desire to leave the area even though it is impossible to do so. These effects primarily occur in the vicinity of aisle 3 of the store. In addition to the emotional and psychological phenomena, there have also been reports of disembodied moaning and screaming, the appearance of humanoid apparitions, and the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor. In order to obtain a more in-depth understanding of SCP-3182 and its Deimos events, researcher Dr. Gradian supervised a series of on-site tests.
This looks like an older
D-Class
gentleman.
132449 was selected for the first test, during which he was placed within the former break room of SCP-3182 and instructed to remain there for the full duration of the Deimos event. He was equipped with a camera and earpiece to allow for two-way communication between him and Dr. Gradian. At first, D-132449's attitude was casual, even cheerful, as he expressed relief at having nothing to do but sit in a chair for an hour. But after 7 minutes
Yeah,
and 32
it's never
seconds
that
passed,
simple,
he
man.
began to feel quite differently. The D-Class became anxious, stating, "I've got to get home soon," before correcting himself to say that he would go back to his cell after the test concluded. 22 minutes and 19 seconds passed, and D-132449 became increasingly uneasy, asking Dr. Gradian if he could hear a strange sound. The noise was not detected on the video feed, but D-132449 insisted that he could hear something, and traced the sound to the broken microwave on a nearby table. In this close proximity, the video feed picked up the sound, a soft gurgling from within the closed microwave.
What
Dr.
the
Gradian
heck?
recommended that the D-Class not interact with the microwave and that he return to his seat. The man refused, insisting that he had to know what was going on with the microwave. The gurgling sound grew louder and more intense, and Dr. Gradian insisted more strongly that the D-Class not open the microwave. But the man did not listen. He opened the microwave, and the video feed cut to black. The remains of D-132449 were later located throughout the plumbing system of SCP-3182. An inspection of the break room microwave found a viscous black liquid inside, which was extracted and taken to a nearby Foundation site. Analysis of the liquid's makeup concluded that it was genetically identical to several hundred past and current residents of the town of Denton, Missouri.
That's
During the next
weird.
test, D-34289
How'd that get in there?
was instructed to examine Aisle 3 during a Deimos event. First, however, he began in the break room. Before beginning the test, Dr. Gradian gave a strong recommendation that the man avoid pursuing the source of any gurgling sounds he might hear. D-342089 asked why, but Dr. Gradian dodged the question, instead asking the D-Class to move toward Aisle 3. Halfway there, he paused, spotting the words, "Get out of here right now," scratched into the wall over the main entrance. The D-Class remarked that this would be impossible, given the lack of doors in SCP-3182. He would not respond to any reminders from Dr. Gradian that there were, in fact, doors in the building, particularly the very entrance door he had walked through to get inside. As D-342089 advanced further into the eerie, darkened store, almost at the infamous Aisle 3, Dr. Gradian checked in regarding his mental state. Aside from the atmosphere, which he deemed pretty damn spooky, D-342089 did not
So
report any
descriptive,
adverse mental effects. Before he could elaborate any further on how he was feeling, however, he quickly discovered that he was not alone in the store. A figure, a female humanoid
what?
shape, stood at the other side of Aisle 3.
How could you tell? It looks
She wore a
pretty.
simple shirt and flared jeans, and if one glanced at her quickly, she might pass for an ordinary girl. But she wasn't. As the D-Class stared at her, he could
Boy, okay. Like, just looking at her. How can you tell that's a woman?
see her face shifting from ordinary human features to a warped imitation of a face, eyes, nose, and mouth moving out of place and drifting into abnormal configurations.
Yee.
As she raised a hand, he could see that it was a formless, fingerless blob. This was too much for D-342089.
Very,
The panicked man
very
fumbled around on the shelf
nondescript.
next to him, searching for a makeshift weapon. He grabbed a cardboard box and prepared to throw it at the apparition. In response, she shook her head rapidly, warped features frozen in a look of terror. She opened her mouth, and the sound of hundreds of opening cash registers came out. She shook her head even harder, trying to communicate something vital to the D-Class. He refused to listen to the apparition or to Dr. Gradian, who warned him not to do anything rash. But he did do something rash. He threw the box at the entity with all his might, and as it made contact, he could hear a soft gurgling sound just behind him. Then, just as it did before, the video cut out. After
Why
the
is
Deimos
the video
event
cutting
concluded,
out?
D-342089 was found alive in a dumpster
Alive?
outside SCP-3182.
That's
He
different.
was, however, missing something. His skin. An
How was he
investigation of the
alive
interior
then?
found that the message he had seen written on the wall had completely vanished following the event. During the third test,
Get that bug, team. Get it.
D-693-221 was placed
Oh,
in aisle
he
3
licking him
and
chops. Guys, he's licking him chops. He's gonna get that skeeter. Beat the skeeter. Get the skeeter. Get it. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Get the skeeto.
directed to remain there for the duration of the entire Deimos event. Like the other D-Class before her, she was equipped with a camera and an earpiece. As the event began, she reported feeling extremely cold. Dr. Gradian suggested that she remain as calm as possible. She refused,
bye.
insisting that she needed to leave as soon
It
as
is
possible.
interesting.
When she turned to leave, however,
Aw,
the
he went
apparition was
away.
standing at the other side of the aisle. Again, she repeated, "I need to get out of here right now. I need to get out of here right now." In response, the apparition nodded in agreement. Dr. Gradian reminded the D-Class that SCP-3182 would not permit her to leave, and she replied, "I need to get out of here right now, or I'll wind up like her." When pressed for further explanation, the terrified D-Class insisted that she didn't understand what she was saying. It was as if the words were being shoved into her mouth, into her mind. She turned to move toward the entrance, and a soft gurgling was suddenly heard. Dr. Gradian warned her to stop moving immediately, and she froze in her tracks. Once she had calmed enough to respond to further instructions, she was ordered to turn and look at the apparition, or rather, as Dr. Gradian referred to it, the ghost. When she met the ghost's eyes, it was shaking its head fervently, eyes wide with fear. The floor beneath it shifted like liquid, the gurgling sound growing louder and louder until human arms burst through the floor, grabbing the ghost and dragging it down out of sight. The ghost gestured frantically toward the exit doors, screaming until it disappeared beneath the floor. The gurgling stopped, the floor was still, and all was quiet for a moment. Then, D693221 was in full panic mode once more, repeating over and over again, "I need to get out of here right now." She repeated this constantly for the remainder of her video footage, running through SCP-3182 frantically, screaming and searching desperately for an exit. Dr. Gradian attempted to direct her, to calm her in some way, but it was as if she could not hear a word he said. She was lost in the dread, lost in the dark. After the Deimos event was through, D693221
She
was
does
found
not
healthy
look
and
okay.
unharmed, at least physically. There were no more scheduled tests after this, and she was administered amnestic treatment and returned to the
It's
prison
only
population
humane.
with a reduced sentence. While the woman formerly known as D693221 carried on with her life, the research team reviewed the footage from her test. One researcher analyzed a distinct tattoo visible in one of the spectral arms that reached up from the floor, matching it to that of a man called Colin Mathers. Mathers is the former manager of SCP-3182 and has no reason to be manifesting as a ghostly arm in his abandoned former workplace, given that he is both alive and, as far as anyone can tell, completely ordinary. That is to say, very much not a ghost. Further investigation into the apparition of the girl was conducted, including a series of interviews with past regulars and employees of SCP-3182. Many of those interviewed recounted anomalous activity far before the closing of the store.
This is very weird. What has caused this random store in the middle of Nowheresville, Missouri to do this?
Including an unseen entity that would mimic their voices. This particular detail inspired the research team to conduct one more test. D442099 was sent into SCP-3182, placed in Aisle 3, and instructed to remain there and attempt communication with the entities there via a Foundation-developed EVP detector. It should be noted that the civilian versions of this technology are far less effective. First, D442099
Good to know.
began with a simple, "Hello?" The response recorded by the EVP detector was a mixture of male and female voices, at least 3, saying, "What can I get for you today?" Next, he asked, "Can you understand what I am saying to you?" And the entities responded, "That'll be unintelligible." He followed with, "Can you tell me what you look like?"
Test some of the pork.
Okay.
It's very hot, so be careful.
Ah, fuck. I'll leave that there till it cools down.
This seemed to provoke a more
Yes.
emotional response.
Specifically,
and the EVP
roasted,
detector picked
seared
up around
pork
7
belly.
mixed human voices saying, "Look at me. This place has ruined me. I should have moved to Jefferson when I had the chance." "Where are you now?" resulted in over 25 voices saying, "One day I'll have enough money. I'll get out of this place." The response to, "What is your name?" was too garbled to understand, as over 70 voices responded at once.
Ooh, it's good.
"Please,
It's like
I don't
bacon.
understand," was met with soft gurgling, which then suddenly cut off. "I don't want to die here," seemed to attract the attention of the lone female ghost, as one solitary female voice replied, "You need to get out of here, right now." "Can I help you?" the D-Class asked. The same female voice replied, sounding strained and frightened, "Please get out of here right..."
Delicious.
Her voice cut off. "Hello," the D-Class called out. There was no response. "Hello," he asked again. The only response was that same soft gurgling. Then he said one more thing. "I don't want to die in this goddamn town." The recorded response was uproarious, cacophonous laughter belonging to a chorus of over 10,000 voices. The sound was nearly deafening. There are undercover Foundation personnel stationed outside of SCP-3182, instructed to prevent any civilians from entering the premises. Civilians who ask follow-up questions are to be given the cover story involving unstable construction. Any past witnesses to a Deimos event must be located and given amnestics dosed in relation to their level of exposure. Because the town of Denton is relatively isolated, any affected individuals should be easy to track down. No Foundation personnel are permitted to enter SCP-3182 during a Deimos event. Any testing conducted during a Deimos event must be approved by at least one Level 3 personnel. However, if any personnel report hearing a soft, gurgling sound while inside the building, they are ordered to vacate immediately. SCP-3182 is a tragic mystery, an abandoned, decaying piece of a town steeped in misery. Like the town itself, it is filled with fear and uncertainty, with a pervasive sense of hopelessness, of no way out during the darkest moments. I have heard from time to time the expression,
That's... yeah. There are so many towns like that, too, where you just feel like, yeah, like it's a black hole. You go there and you can never leave due to some other odd ends or something.
dead-end job, and I understand it to apply fairly well in this case. Those working at SCP-3182 while it was open seemed to fill the place with so much misery, so much dread and resentment, that something anomalous began to take root. Something, for 1 hour a day, makes those fears real. The people in SCP-3182 believed it to be a dead end.
Pit of dread and hate, so Chicago.
And now,
but in Missouri.
Check out the Dr. Bob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like SCP-2740. It wasn't there.
That's terrifying looking. And for the last video, we're going to be watching a video by Mr. Creepy. Oh yeah, the clown thing again. When did that happen? I feel like it was around 2006, 7 maybe. It was a couple years ago at this point, right? God, it's so weird. Multiple generations of school children have lived and are living through eras of time that are probably going to be written down in any future history books that might be written. Like the whole COVID thing, the clowns, that has to make it into the history books because it was just so bizarre.
Clowns have always brought us a sense of weirdness and horror. And it might even get worse when one of them shows up on your...
This looks like the guy from the last clown video. Doesn't he? He's got that same discount Wish version Pennywise hair. The 25-cent store clown costume from Halloween, the smudgy makeup. It's probably the same artist, but that is the exact same person. Oh my gosh. Alright.
Tries to break into your house. Let's
get into it.
Olivia was home alone. She was lying on her bed and texting with Alex, just a random guy she met online recently. Mom called and told her to check the doors carefully before...
We've watched this one before. This is the same story. We're gonna skip that one. It's the exact same story. I remember now. Cheddar, why are you sharking me, buddy? I've got a little orange shark. What's up, buddy? Sniff, sniff.
This man appeared in front of a girl's house. He used a knife and tried to open the door. What will happen next? That footage inspired the following story, which serves as an alert warning to girls living alone. You should be careful because one day, perverts can appear and be your guest at any time.
I mean, that
The
goes
story
for any
started
woman
after
being
Alice
alone
broke up with her
anywhere, not just
boyfriend
their
and
home.
started living alone. One night in the evening, I suddenly received a call from her. She was now sobbing.
Taylor, he really left me.
Oh,
Alice,
poor
it's
thing.
okay. I'll be right there with you.
I comforted her and got in the car. I could tell from Alice's voice that she was really devastated about the breakup thing. Alice and Charles had been together for over...
I'm sorry, but this guy, his head is the shape of a pentagon. Like, this dude built like a whole Roblox character, and this chick's really crying over that. He does look like the ghost from the grocery store. I'm guessing the artist for Dr. Bob probably also works with other people. Hi. Hi, buddy.
For 2 years, and a dozen times she told me that they were really broken up. I just waited until they got back together about 1 to 2 weeks later, but this time it was different. I lived quite far from Alice's house, about 30 minutes by car. On
Well, that's
my
not
way
that
there,
far.
I received a phone call from Alice.
Hey, are you on the way yet? Can you stop by 7-Eleven for more whiskey? I need more alcohol. What? How much have you been drinking?
Don't ask too.
What 7-Eleven sells whiskey? I have never seen whiskey in a 7-Eleven. Like, has anyone gone to a 7-Eleven and found like actual whiskey? None that you know of? It might be a local like thing. There might be some places. It's you know like how some McDonald's and other countries have stuff on the menu that others don't. It's probably something like that where every little store has something different. That way you can't. In Chicago, no, it gets stolen too fast.
Much? Just get it.
And then she hung up the phone, and there was no way I'd buy her more whiskey. About 10 minutes later, I got another call from her.
Taylor, don't come here. Don't.
Her shaking whisper scared
Oh boy.
me.
What happened?
But she hung up the phone before I could finish my question. I drove faster to get to her. Finally, I was on her porch. I rang the doorbell and called Alice, but she didn't open the door, nor did she pick up the phone. I tried opening the door, and to my surprise, it was not locked, so I went inside the house. The
Lock
living
your
room was a
doors.
mess, with a lot of furniture broken on the floor.
That looks like
Everything
blood.
was
That looks like a
uncomfortably
pad.
quiet. I nervously called out.
Alice, where are you?
Oh, that's
No
water.
one answered.
I'm dumb.
Alice,
And then there was a voice saying,
I'm upstairs. Come up here.
I breathed a sigh of relief. That
What kind of picture is that there in the background? You see that? What is that? What's that supposed to be? It is a strange, very strange picture. It is. That's more than odd. It's straight up weird. Let's break down this picture on its base components, alright? It looks like a small child with a grown adult's face with like one of those cast iron big old pots you put in the like over a fire pit on their head, covering most of their face, wearing some kind of either yellow raincoat or giant yellow cardigan or something, and holding like what looks to me like a narwhal plushie. Very strange, to say the least.
It was Alice, so I rushed to her room. Now I was standing in her room. Before my eyes was a horrible scene that I would never forget. Alice was there, but she was lying on the ground in a pool
that's
of
not good.
blood. The skin on her face had been peeled off, leaving red flesh on her face. Terrified by the horrifying scene, I shivered. Who did this? And who answered me earlier? I knew I was in danger in this house. I wanted to get close to Alice, but I was afraid that the one mimicking her voice might come out and give me the same ending as my friend. I slowly stepped back. The only word now in my head was run, which was the only thing I could do. I turned around and tried to run as fast as I could. While escaping, I could hear his footsteps echoing behind me. He was chasing me.
Don't run, Taylor. Wait for me.
I was startled when I heard Alice.
What the goddamn hell? Okay, so first off, with the girl's face on his face, he kind of looks like the long-haired dude from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mixed with the actual killer. How is he able to replicate her friend's voice so well that she got fooled? Aw, Team's sitting in my jacket. And second off, he did not do a good job peeling her skin off of her face, clearly. It looks like a bad face mask. Like, you know those ones you put on your face to, like, make it more moisturized? It looks like one of those, but do it up for as cheap as you can good. Yeah, he's failed real bad at the skin peel. Dude is not a professional at flaying.
Alice's voice again, but behind me was a guy with a small body. He was wearing Alice's face skin with blood and hair on it. He was staring at me. In his hand was a long, sharp knife, still stained with Alice's freckles.
Stained with blood? Where?
Blood. He was the one who imitated Alice's voice. In this situation, I was too numb to think of an escape plan. So then I turned to run.
Particularly bad around the
Fortunately,
mouth
when
area.
He was close to chasing me. I was able to get out the door and get into the car. He reached my car while I was trying to start the engine. He swung the knife and repeatedly hit the windshield.
Holy shit.
But fortunately, I backed up in time and drove away. Looking in the rearview mirror, I could see him still standing in Alice's yard, staring after my car. I immediately picked up the phone and called 911. The police rushed to the scene, but the murderer had escaped.
That's
so they
bad.
found the camera footage at Alice's home and tried to figure out how he approached Alice and murdered her. According to the camera, that man went to Alice's door and rang the bell incessantly. Alice went to the door, but she didn't open it immediately and asked who he was first. Now he used his voice-imitating talent to pretend to be Alice's ex-boyfriend. "I'm your little Daisy. Please open the door for me." Alice, who was already too drunk to think, opened the door for him.
Oh, man.
As soon as she opened it, she rushed to hug him thinking it was her boyfriend. Only when he let out a savage laugh did Alice realize that he was a murderer. So then she was forced to do something in the house. She staggered and ran around while he gloated madly and slowly approached her. He knew for sure that no one could save Alice at that time. That sick man was scary. Alice tried to run
What
away
a
from
freak.
him. She found a place to hide and called me after that. That was the short warning call. But it was not difficult for the killer to find out and murder her. He then skinned her face and put it on his.
Okay, but why would you do that?
According to the police, this was the first case to happen here, and the murderer seemed to have been following Alice for a long time. The murderer was still wanted, and I know I was also in danger. I would have to move to a safer place. Not until he was arrested could I sleep peacefully in my own house.
Okay, so I really gotta know what that guy had that had this girl so down bad for him. She was down Titanic bad. She was down Titan bad. That is beyond. Yeah.
I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously. Yeah, that's when you really shake me.
The footage you've seen
That's
was
not
extracted from a popular video on social media 2 years ago. Inside that suitcase was a man.
Why he actually killed her, we'll probably never know.
He was, or actually used to be, the boyfriend of the girl who took the video. He was locked in there by his girlfriend for hours before he stopped breathing. Now I'll tell you the whole story.
Oh boy.
I always thought that me and my boyfriend, Otis, were not a good match. I was so worried about my appearance, but Otis didn't seem to care much because he loved me. There were times when we had arguments about that, but he always gave up first. I always told myself that my boyfriend could leave me at any time to follow other beautiful girls. One day, I came home.
Self-confidence is zero.
Only to find a girl in the living room laughing and talking with my boyfriend. As soon as they saw me coming home, the two of them stopped talking. That girl stood up and greeted me. I was so angry, I closed the door very hard.
Who is she?
Ah, there you are. I've already cooked dinner. Hungry?
Who is she?
That's
I
a good
walked over and
question.
pushed the girl down to the couch. She's selling insurance, and I was listening to her. Otis came over and pulled me into the house. An insurance girl? I doubted that. She looked very beautiful, and she looked at Otis with loving eyes. It couldn't be that simple. That night I got mad at Otis no matter how much he explained. We went to bed earlier because I had to go to work the following morning. The next morning, when I woke up, Otis was not in the room. I went downstairs to find him sleeping on the couch, and there were long scratches on his cheeks.
Oh, what happened to you?
I panicked. Otis woke up dimly. Oh, it's nothing. Just a random cat. He replied and went back to sleep under the covers.
Poor guy.
So I quickly left for work without asking any more. After a long day's work, I returned home. As soon as I stood in front of the door, I heard the girls' laughter from yesterday again. I burst into the house angrily. Otis and the other girls stared at me in shock. Apparently, they had been fooling around.
I will kill you two!
I gritted my teeth, dashed into the kitchen, grabbed a sharp knife, and rushed over to the woman. Otis
This girl's crazy.
Please, get out of here! Then he used all his strength to hold me down. Calm down! Calm down!
Okay, not to be that guy, but it is 100% her fault for being like that. You cannot continuously tell your partner, oh yeah, she went Looney Tunes. You know, the whole thing. Oh gosh, it's so late. I think I'm probably gonna end it here, actually. I know we haven't finished the video, but we'll finish it some other time. I really gotta go to bed, get something to eat. So, it's been fun hanging out with everybody, but I gotta go play Possum. I'll see you all on the same Possum channel, same Possum time, different Possum day after, Monday. Later. If you liked the video, make sure to like it on YouTube if I upload it on YouTube. Subscribe, share it with all your friends. Comment down in the comments any suggestions for video ideas, your cat's name, your favorite kind of goldfish, whatever. I don't care. Just put something down there, whatever you feel like. If you ask me a question, I'll answer it within reason. But I'll see you next time I make a video. Bye.